All right, welcome everybody. This is the debut, the initial. I guess. What are there any other words for new?
It's goddamn revolutionary, really.
A goddamn revolutionary new podcast called Cinematic Suffering.
Cinematic suffering, where life is pain, and so are bad horror movies.
Yes, I am Jason,
I'm Clay.
and we will be your host through this horrific journey as we go through Netflix and we watch every movie from A to Z.
That's right. That's the premise. Is we're gonna slog through it no matter what.
We're gonna slog through it. There's some movies I've seen. There's some that Clay has seen, and
That's right.
even if we've seen it before, we're gonna have to slog through it again, just so the other person can have that same suffering experience.
Because them's the rules.
Yeah, and also, there may be movies that are actually pretty good, and
That would be great. Jason and I were talking before we started this whole thing, and both of us love the medium, and we definitely don't go into this wanting to shit all over movies. The worst kind of person is a pedantic film reviewer, and I'm not that guy. So
well, yeah, and they deserve their own special places in hell.
that's right.
Yeah, and that's right. We're not looking for the worst movies. We want to experience what filmmakers have put up on Netflix, and just experience all this hellish torment that we're about to go through. Um, so I guess our first movie up on the list, if you want to follow along with us, by the way, you can go on the desktop. I'm not sure if this is available on apps, but you can go on your desktop and go to Netflix, go to search for movies. You go into the genres, go into horror, and then it's gonna have like top suggestions for you. Just go to like a pull down box. You can file it A to Z, and then you can see the progress we'll be making as we go along through this series. You can follow along too, and hopefully experience the pains or pleasures that we go through.
That's right. And when you categorize these alphabetically, numerically, they come up first. So we got the number 13. Spoiler, two times in a row. So this is a
Yes,
13 title. It's a very popular number in the horror genre.
it is. And Clay, do you want to introduce this first movie up?
Absolutely. This first feature is called 13 Cameras. It's written and directed by Victor Zarcoff, starring Neville Archambault, never Archambault,
Hmm.
Sean Carrigan, Sarah Baldwin, Brianna Moncrief, and PJ McCabe.
All right, so I'm just gonna play like a audio theatrical preview because what doesn't go over well better than a theatrical trailer that's meant to view than to hear it, right?
That's right. Yeah, it really gives you the tone and pacing of the film.
Right, and you're gonna hear some of the acting that's gonna be involved, and so let's go with this theatrical preview, and we'll be right back.
Office, owner's closet, guest bedroom.
You mind if we look around on our own?
So what do you think?
I don't like that guy.
Just relax. It's a cool house.
He's just creepy. Every time I'd look up, he'd be staring at me.
You know he's got a key to your place, right?
I don't want to be alone with him.
It's fine.
There's no talking during this part. There's obviously stuff going on. It's music. Okay, I'll shut up. Hold on.
1080p, backup batteries, and they're practically invisible. They can be hidden almost anywhere. Discretion is the name of the game.
Maybe tomorrow we'll give you a bath. Fix you up real nice.
Yeah, so that was a theatrical preview, and obviously you couldn't hear or you couldn't see anything.
Couldn't see anything, and I couldn't hear a damn thing. But that's me. Hopefully, that doesn't count for everybody.
Yeah, so you heard a lot of music. You heard I heard a dog barking.
Yes, that was a creepy dog.
Yeah, that
and
was
it put
very
me at unease.
Clay, do you want to? Let's start from the beginning.
So the film starts off with what I found to be a pretty effective music sting and a montage of people going about their lives, bathing, brushing their teeth, getting in the shower, doing all these things that you would presume to be private moments in this montage. And it showed in classic horror movie hyperbole a bunch of statistics that we're not going to do the work to confirm or deny about how many people are being spied on in their home. So.
Right, and these are all supposedly video shots of video cameras and this mass collage, and you see people taking craps and brushing their teeth, and
yeah, like getting up to all kinds of naughty shenanigans. So that's how it starts off, and then we immediately cut to our leading man, and in my opinion, the only person with any redeeming qualities in this feature.
And we're talking about the landlord, of course.
The landlord played pretty well by Neville Archambault. I apologize to Neville if I'm mispronouncing your name there, buddy. But it's the creepiest dude that I've seen on camera since that bug-eyed anti-protagonist in the Human Centipede 2. I can't remember that guy's name.
I don't know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, though. This guy, this landlord, he was... I mean, they wanted to get the creep factor. They found the perfect actor for this. This yes. Guy, his mouth was constantly agape, grunting. He's looking at videos. He's installing videos, I think, at the beginning, and video cameras, I should say. He's installing at the beginning, and he's just kind of wobbling around in this weird kind of body shuffle that he has.
Yeah. Like he's got this Humpty Dumpty kind of weebles but never falls down kind of gait. Is limping side to side.
Now,
obviously up to no good.
Now, when I first saw the theatrical preview for this, there's a scene where he has his shirt off, and and I thought this guy was like some ripped elderly man. I mean, he's not super old, but he's probably in his late 50s, early 60s. But he took his shirt off and he's screaming in the theatrical preview, and he's got these muscled shoulders, and I'm like, holy crap, this dude is going to kick some ass.
He's just terrifying. He's got that frightening, upsetting old man cut thing that Sylvester Stallone kind of has going on now too. Yeah. That is just kind of upsetting and it's unsettling.
It's really unsettling. There's this, like I said, when he took his shirt off, but when I saw the film finally and he took his shirt off for that scene or several other scenes where he jumps in the pool, he has this weird Gollum-esque body that's kind of...
You know who he looks like to me is, Till Lindemann from Rammstein? You know, that dude?
Right, yeah.
It's his special needs brother is kind of what I was thinking when I was seeing it. Like, this dude's got a chaperone, and he goes to special classes. So he was wonderfly cast.
Right. Yeah, and I don't want to disparage that. We're putting him down just because of his physique, his whole entire look, and his character, the way he was portraying it, was really done well for this movie. And
I'd love to see his headshots, like that he shops around to any talent agents, however those Hollywood types do it. Because I'm sure it's like, yes, I'm upsetting. Can I have a part where I'm playing an upsetting person? Yeah, we got you covered in 13 cameras.
Did you happen to look up an IMDb on him? Maybe see if he's done anything else?
He's done a handful of other things. I'm not familiar with his other work, but if I was a betting man, I'd say that he's been cast to type in a pretty tight corner.
Right.
Yeah.
I think this is another one of those movies that we started off with, and we were both really excited to do this. And then you said immediately, I think I've seen this movie before.
I had, and I remembered it fondly. like anytime you watch something twice, I guess you're reminded of what might have been a problem the first time that you didn't catch, or it becomes a bigger problem the second time. So I'm interested to see what you thought of it.
Yeah, and I definitely had my thoughts after seeing it. I took a few notes as I was going. I didn't take many.
Yeah,
I think overall the movie was entertaining.
Yeah.
It wasn't badly shot. It was shot kind of like, it wasn't really artistically shot, but it was capable.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It looked good. The cinematography was definitely functional. I liked it. I wasn't too aware of the cinematography. I was kind of distracted by how nice their apartment was. It was a lot of times the characters being in the foreground got in my way of their decor, which I really enjoyed. It's like, oh, look at that! They got a kidney-shaped pool that's nice and clean. They got this quaint fence with little vines running through. Oh man, who are these pasty, boring white people kissing in the foreground? Which I don't know if I'm the only person that had that reaction to this movie, but man, I found the rest of the cast outside of the main villain to be pretty bland.
Yeah, I mean, I've known you for years, and I always know that you have this thing for decor, and
Yeah.
that's what you always go to.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe I was supposed to be a interior decorator in a past life, but I noticed that I've also known set designer. I've met a set designer, and ever since I met this dude, for some reason I was fixated on that. But
Yeah.
it looks nice. The score is nice. Me personally, I was immediately bored. Like the first couple that we meet are married. They're not married, I don't think. I think that they're just there, right?
No, they are married. It's Brian,
Okay.
Brian and Claire.
Ryan and Claire, or Brian and Claire?
I think it's Brian and Claire. I
Okay.
guess it doesn't matter. So.
Played as if it matters by
Yeah.
TJ McCabe and Brianna Moncrief, and my God, they're droll. And then the girl that we quickly learn that his very pregnant wife, that he's cheating on her with his administrator or his assistant or whatever she is.
His assistant that looks like to be the same age as him.
And the very similar hair type, similar body type, similar demeanor as his wife. Like,
Yeah.
why-
No, yeah, you bring up a good point. I was thinking when there's that first scene we see with Hannah, who was the mistress in the movie, I thought it was his wife at first. And
Yeah, like maybe she just put her hair down, or I didn't notice in the darkness of their introduction that she had long hair. Like, oh, wait a minute, is this a flashback?
Yeah.
It was like jarring for a second.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I was immediately put off. Ryan or Brian is
It's Ryan.
It's Ryan. It's Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay,
As
so
if it mattered.
right, it doesn't matter, but let's call him by his correct movie name.
Ryan.
So Ryan, he's a dick basically. He's not a likable character.
They take pains to bludgeon you with how bad it is to have sex with other women while your wife is very pregnant. There's no gray area that Ryan is an asshole for what he's doing with his penis.
Right, exactly, and like he feels obligated to search for other avenues for his sexual proclivities since his wife, and it's like, dude, just go jerk off.
Yeah, because God forbid we actually have something that we can root for in this thing that just it starts off on a pretty unsettling note, and then it begins to drag and it begins to lumber into the second and third act. For me, I was just like, oh my God, man. I mean, in a lot of ways, the predictable stuff happens. I don't know how much you want to give away, but it was.
Let's say it right here. This is not a spoiler-free podcast. We are going to be giving away everything. I mean, even the ending. So fuck it.
Right. I mean, either listen to it before or after, but I'm going to ruin the movie for you. Yeah. So I thought that it started to lose its way real quick. Like we're introduced to Ryan and his pregnant wife and the girl he's cheating with in pretty quick order, and we also meet their friends who are just as pasty and white. And I don't want to sound like I'm trying too hard to be politically correct, but damn it, a swath of skin tones that aren't all on the peach end of the crayon box. Makes for a more interesting movie visually, like from a background perspective. It's more interesting to look at. It's more interesting to get into the characters.
Right. It's obviously low budget, and for what again, as I said before, the cinematography, everything is competently done. I wouldn't say anything is like the acting is very dry. There's nothing really going on with the acting. The cinematography, there's some shots that are set up where it looks like something from a telenovela. Or
like it's safe. They play it so safe with the cinematography. The music stings are pretty good. I thought that the music composition actually did a pretty good job in eliciting the sound of stress and drama, even though the rest of the movie was kind of falling short of that.
Right. You bring up a good point that I did enjoy the score. I just thought there's some moments where it was kind of inappropriate to put some of the foreboding music in the back. There's a scene at the very beginning where Ryan is talking to his friend, and I'm not sure what his friend's name, but I guess Paul. That's his name, Paul.
Is that it? I didn't take any pains to learn the ancillary characters.
Yeah, Paul is probably the Affleck's baby brother that never made it into film. It's what it seems like, because he has that same connotation, the annotation. And so Ryan is talking to Paul, and he's saying, "Yeah, Hannah." He's basically telling Paul he hasn't been laid. And in the background, there's this foreboding music going, whoa,
whoa. This is going to end badly. What you're going to do with your pee-pee.
Yeah, and really, it's just really a drama, and it could be, it's like, does this music really apply to this conversation? I just felt it was really out of place. Kind of jarred me out. I mean, a lot of things jarred me out of scenes, but I'm sitting there, why is this? I was expecting, because the foreboding music, we'd see, like, the landlord suddenly standing behind them or watching them through a video camera, but no.
Yeah, I felt like I'm probably personalizing this way too much, but have you ever had too much to drink and then you're talking to two people and they look at you with shit eye and then you realize that you've interrupted a private conversation? Yeah. That's kind of what the cinematographer, or what the soundtrack did in that moment. Like, we're having a conversation here. It's more interesting to actually hear what these guys are talking about than to hear this music sting that's like creepy.
Right. It's like the Academy Awards where they're trying to play people off while they're still talking. It's like the music's coming in going, come on, guys, we got to get through this scene.
We haven't gotten anywhere near Gwyneth Paltrow yet. Y'all need to wrap this up. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, my God. Like they just, you're kind of like, there's a mix of being bored and being kind of shuffled through the exposition. Like, okay, all the obvious stuff that happens, the setup is there. Like, you meet the creepy landlord, which, as an aside, if you're getting ready to rent an apartment and your landlord looks even remotely like Gerald, and then very soon into your new apartment, you realize that there's a locked door that you can't access.
The owner's closet.
Yes, it's like, okay, first things first, we're calling the police and we're having whatever moldy carcasses are down there removed. There is no way that there's not drugs growing or bodies moldering in that locked room, So immediately you don't feel bad for the protagonists that are being spied on and potentially harassed and assaulted later.
Right, and Gerald, is that his name, the landlord?
Gerald, yeah.
Yeah, so Gerald has this owner's closet, so he's showing the couple through the house, and he's just like grunting, "Oh, this is the kitchen, the bedroom, owner's closet," and just walks by it. And it's,
Thanks, Shrek. I'm glad that,
And so a little bit later on, probably, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes in, 15, 20 minutes, Ryan gets annoyed at at Claire, because Claire wants to hang up baby pictures. And he's like, "For real? You want to do this? No, I'm on the internet." And I'm just like, God, I hope this guy dies,
I know, God, when can Gerald come up from his basement dwelling? I don't know where he lives. I guess it's somewhere dark, deep, and moist, because he's constantly oogling his tenants, and you don't see him masturbating, but you get the idea. He's zipping up his pants, and there's just a Louis C.K. level of used Kleenex everywhere. It's like, I get it, man.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, I mean, I think Gerald lived off the property. I only say that because he always drove up in that white van
That's
all the
right.
time. So he just had the owner's closet. For some reason, it was a basement. For some reason, he didn't want anybody going down there. But Gerald, God, I get these stupid characters. Ryan gets pissed at his wife because he doesn't want to hang pictures now, and he doesn't have a hammer. So he pries open the owner's closet and goes downstairs, and then that's it. There's no exploration down there. There's no scene of what he found, what was potentially. He just comes back up. He goes down the steps and then comes back up them and goes, "Oh, it's stairs or something."
I mean, the most unaware people. It's one of the main tropes in every horror movie, and it's teeth gnashingly irritating for me every time. Is that no one is dedicated one little micron to their own survival? Like, well, it smells like human suffering, and my body. I'm getting this vibration of absolute evil from not only this house, but definitely that dark Sith Jedi fucking cellar that he's got down there. But no, man, we're good. I'm gonna leave. I'm just gonna keep cheating on my pregnant wife.
Yeah, and even Claire points it out when he's showing him the house. He smells like shit. I want to vomit. And he's like, the husband's just like, oh, be quiet. He's gonna hear you. And
I know, and nothing. This is gonna sound mean, and it's not. But like every time I see a movie like this, I'm like, are all you people Canadian? Because if you're Canadian, you need to reveal yourself. Because I need to know what framework to put this movie in. Everybody's like passive aggressive, but too polite at the same time. It's weird.
Yeah, it was very weird. And I thought for the first 50 minutes maybe that it wasn't a horror movie. It was just a drama. With the occasional aside of Gerald jerking off watching cameras.
It wanted to be a horror movie. I felt like it was kind of like the road comic that's not allowed to smoke at the other road comics tables or something because they just don't like the guy. I don't know why I made that comparison. It makes no sense. But
I think what I... I'll bring this up later in the podcast, but let's keep going. We're about 50 minutes in. I think stuff kind of starts happening.
Somebody gets kidnapped, and Gerald drags somebody into the basement. That's right. The big moment of, okay, we're moving now.
Right. So most of this stuff up to this moment, I remember now, is Hannah, the mistress again, is now somehow obsessed with Ryan, and she's calling him, and she came over and was with us. He's found her and his wife talking with each other, and he's like, "What's going on?" And I guess the wife needed some help setting something up, but Hannah didn't know what the fuck she was doing because it's
And on the opposite side of that, so we have the moment that you're just talking about, where Hannah just horrifically violates the side girl code. And then on the opposite side, the friend of Ryan's that you mentioned before, he had confided in him, I think earlier on in the movie, that he was cheating on his pregnant wife.
Right.
And then he eventually tells on him. So you've got this Ryan dude picks his flings and his friends poorly. Like, you can't trust this dude with a secret, and you can't trust her with a secret. You chose unwisely, my friend.
Right. I mean, when Ryan was telling his friend that, I'm cheating on her, and then it comes out later that Hannah is exposed, and it turns out Ryan's friend Paul told his wife, and of course his wife goes over there and tells Claire, the pregnant wife, what's going on, and all the foibles and the drama and the melodrama that happens when, oh dear, I've been cheated on, you get out of my house, and I don't want to get out, I love you, and it becomes this again a soap opera mode, and we don't really up to this point we only see the landlord go in every once in a while and make adjustments to the basement where he fixes the doorknob to the basement because it was busted open by Ryan earlier. He installs soundproof padding, which somehow blocks everything out. I mean, I don't see.
It blocks. It's real good with smells too, because they, we could have inferred, but they make sure that we get the idea that the person he's got captive down there is pooing and peeing into a bucket. Because there's this protracted scene that we didn't need of Gerald shuffling upstairs and dumping the slop out into the sink, which really proves my point that he was on the little bus on the way to school. And, I don't know why we needed that, but soundproofing doesn't keep smell out in my estimation.
Soundproofing a door. I mean, I guess we can assume that he went and soundproofed the ceiling of the basement and the walls of the basement because
you're a musician. Does soundproofing work that well?
If everything's done correctly and right and sealed and with the right materials, yeah, it will soundproof to a point. But it looked like the half-assed job. You saw when Gerald opens the owner's closet, and it's just like 3 pads of foam that he tacked onto the door.
That stuff that ships eggs with eggs or something. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, and then of course the sound design is really good in this movie. I'll give them that. That they. So he opens the door and closes it, and he puts a radio down there so he can hear a radio, and then he closes. It's. I mean, that was preposterous, but whatever. And then him taking that poo bucket when I guess we should mention that, Gerald, eventually Hannah comes to the house by herself because she's going to expose the whole thing to the wife, and Gerald arrives instead and kidnaps her. And instead of taking her out of the house to somewhere else in his creepy white van, he decides to lock her in the fucking basement of the couple's own home.
I know that have already established that we're very, very skeptical about this room you've locked us out of. It just, I think that this dude obviously had a real diminished intellectual capacity, and people along his life should have spotted it. Like, dude, you're buying all the red letter stuff at Home Depot at once. We need to keep a close eye on you. Community people, we need to look out for one another, and Gerald tops a list of people to kindly keep an eye on.
Yeah, he's the type of character that you would look on the sex offenders list to see if he's living within any mileage of your children. I mean, I'm going to do a little slight aside here, but it's something that bugged the shit out of me during this movie. No one shut and locked the security doors.
They're not dedicated to their own survival. They realize that there's enough white blonde people in the world.
They assume the cops are just going to show up in a minute, so why shut the security doors? I noticed that it's like the front door has a security door, and it was wide open. They would always leave, lock the door, go inside, and the security door would be wide open. The back door was the same way. The back door had a security door. They just left it open.
And who are they trying to keep out? They're trying to keep out a man who can't even amble from one room to another without breaking both of his knees, look like they're about to turn to powder.
Yeah, and they know this guy's a perfect creep, and they know he's got keys to the place. So, and I think in that part, it's like the wife was like, "We should change the locks," but it's not your house. You can't change the locks. So, I mean...
renter's code. You know better.
Right. So that was just a stupid aside. I just noticed it, and it was just bugging me throughout the whole film.
Yeah, and oh my God. Yeah. Now you're correct. There was a lot of things that just were aggravating about this thing. I can't help but think that... a lot of these problems could have been solved by looking at the script. Like, okay, flip. I'm getting fucking bored. I'm getting bored.
I think it falls prey to the low budget that it has. They can't.
We got a house. There's this unwritten obligation that your running time needs to be long. It totally doesn't. It really doesn't. Especially in a Netflix world, make your movie an hour long. Who cares?
Right, and this
you got into the point quicker, and it's more entertaining.
Yeah, and I have to say, I'm glad this movie wasn't 2 hours long. It was an hour and 20 minutes, something like that. It wasn't even a full hour and a half, but it felt like almost 2 hours. But
it drug a little bit.
It drug a little bit, yeah.
It drug a little bit in the same. Have you ever seen the movie Inside, the French movie?
Oh yeah, I love that movie. Yes.
Yeah, it's a classic horror movie. I mean, that one, like I made fun of it for different things, but I made fun of it for all the heavy-handed attempts that they made to keep it going. Like, this needs to stay entertaining. You could tell that the filmmakers had some kind of empathy for when they were starting to lose the audience a little bit, and 13 cameras could have kind of like stole a little bit from them in that way.
Right, right, and it just seems like 13 Cameras took a typical, vanilla plot of, boy or husband cheating, blah blah blah, and then just kind of wrap this other thing of them being watched constantly by this creep, the entire time.
And it was frustrating for me because they had all the components that they needed. Like the themes that I would have been more interested in chasing down would have been all of our kind of all of the voyeuristic creepy qualities in the audience. Like maybe elicit some kind of moral confliction in the audience by to where you kind of enjoy seeing these people, and then maybe they cut away before you can really get the payoff, and then you realize that you're along with it. They didn't do that for me. I mean, the very theme of voyeurism is an interesting topic that they didn't really chase down that well.
Right. Yeah, I agree 100%. So let's continue on with the movie. Hannah's kidnapped. Claire confronts Ryan on his cheatingness, and she decides that he needs to leave, and she's gonna stay in the house by herself. Her friend Aubrey, the one who snitched on Ryan, is now offering to. She's like, "Stay away," and telling Ryan to go away. And
you need to get out of here.
Yeah, and. So again, we just get into this soap opera mode, this telenovela kind of thing, and so this is where things kind of start happening finally. So during this whole time, the landlord is Gerald is continuously sneaking in this entire time, and he's going down into the basement and checking on the girl, and every time he opens the basement, or not every time, but she screams, and of course when he closes the door. There's no screams, and he goes down there and tries to feed her a hamburger.
Yeah, which this poor girl must be vegan because, like, I don't want to keep coming back to this, but her poop is the color of oil, of like motor oil.
Yeah, there's some intestinal problems going on there. I would get checked immediately. There's some colon cancer going on with that poop.
Yeah, man. I mean, check yourself out. But yeah, like, I don't want to hold us up. So yeah, like that's he's got her in the basement, and which kind of brings us to the third act a little bit, which I've watched this movie, mostly sober, mostly awake twice, and it just big chunks of it just vacate my brain. It's like I don't have the hard drive space for it. I don't know. Was it that boring for me, or was that just me?
I felt it was I want to say it was boring, and I know I've said it has dragged. Didn't you say something along the lines of it's dragged more than RuPaul's Drag Race or something?
Yeah, I said a drag queen racing a dragster doesn't drag as much as this thing's dragging. And I don't know. Was I alone in that?
No, I don't think you're alone. There were parts that I felt like that, but at the same time, I would consistently look how much time I had left in the movie. I'm like, there's only 30 minutes left. So, okay, yeah, this is okay. I'm at a good pace. I'm fine. So I think, I've watched worse movies where the pacing was extremely horrible, and I kept checking the time, every 5 minutes and seeing that I still had 2 hours to go. So I won't say this one kind of did that to me. I think by the time, because they were following every beat of the story, you have your first, your first setup, you have your climaxes, you have everything that needed to be there was happening.
I felt like the thing was meant to make couples get in a fight that they normally wouldn't have. I think that was the only purpose of the movie, is that somebody funding it said, we can make your movie. I'll give you some of my dad's money, but you've got to tell everybody that you're a cheating piece of shit. And now we have 13 cameras.
It's perfect motivation.
It's not about voyeurism. It's about infidelity.
Let's get into this third act here.
Yeah. All right. So basically, where do we get with the third act? He's got the woman in the basement, and Gerald's in the house getting ready to kill somebody. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, pretty much. So Hannah's down there. Well, at first we see Hannah. She's chained in the basement. She's screaming, and Gerald's wherever his place is with the camera, where the monitors are. He sees her struggling and sees the ring that he put into the wall starting to come loose, and she's about to pull out. So he takes off in his van to come to the house to go down in the basement to I don't know what, to finish her off or do something.
It's hard for me to gauge what Gerald's thinking. They don't let us into his head. It seems like impenetrable to get in there. I don't know what is going on because I can't figure out Gerald's motivation at all at this point.
Yeah, and that's a big problem with this specific villain. So yes, we have Hannah's in the basement. Gerard shows Gerard or Gerald.
Gerald.
Gerald. Okay,
Like
Gerald.
Gerald's game.
Right. So Claire is in the bathroom taking a shower while Gerald. I'm just gonna call him the fucking landlord. Okay.
Well, that's the name of the movie in other places. So that's
Oh, is it? Okay, cool. So the landlord comes while Claire's in the shower, and he goes down in the basement to shut Hannah up. Hannah does pull loose. She pulls loose from the board, and she does escape, right?
I'm currently trying to remember this stuff, which is an indictment either on me or on the movie because I feel like I should remember.
Yes.
Having seen it twice, you know.
Right. So she does escape. I'm just eventually she does escape because Ryan comes back home and Claire thinks she sees the video cameras now, and so Ryan sleeps on the couch. And while he's sleeping on the couch, he hears noises. The dog starts barking, and he goes out and checks the back and sees doesn't see, but we see the landlord standing in the back, looking all creepy as usual. And he goes back inside, not shutting the security door again, and
no one cares for this door at all.
Right? Yeah. I mean, if you really felt, that you were in trouble, might shut and lock that security door, but. So that happens, and Ryan gets back into bed or on the couch, and next thing you know, screams. Hannah somehow escapes, gets out of the basement, and they all kind of rush around and go into the bathroom. Ryan becomes becomes a hero, I guess.
He's got a baseball bat, so shit is on when you're the only man in the room and you got yourself a Louisville Slugger.
Right. So Ryan thinks he's a badass now because there's a Louisville Slugger, and I guess this is not a character arc, by the way. Any asshole can pick up a Louisville Slugger and defend their home. They can be a fucking wife beater. They could be a child molester, and they're like, I'm going to defend my home with a fucking slugger.
Oh, it's a very good point. This doesn't redeem this piece of shit in any way. No. And I'd like to go on record that I would hate Ryan, even if he was a perfectly loyal, kind, like honest husband, because he was that poorly written and shallow and two-dimensional.
Yeah, very two-dimensional. So we go and... So then this is another thing that kind of annoyed me too. The landlord trips the circuit breaker, just turns off the lights, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're human too. You can't see in the dark. You're kind of fucking yourself now.
Well, have you seen his eyes? Obviously, they pick up a color and light spectrum that we humans aren't capable.
Yeah, he's seeing the ultraviolets.
Well, that would be perfect. Let's just crudely edit some moments from Predator. Just the first Predator. We'll just put Arnold Schwarzenegger's whatever it is, that weird night vision face from Predator.
Right, and then just have like little voices come up that sound like unintelligible.
I know, Jay. And it says in the bottom right-hand corner, Gerald Vision.
Well, I think we're already rewriting a better movie right now.
Yeah, you accidentally make one. But please continue.
So we're pushing more into this. So the landlord shuts off the lights for whatever reason, because I guess he knows the house better. Maybe that's it. He knows the house.
Yeah, like you would know your own house better. Well, I can give the movie that.
Right. Yeah. So I'm wondering this entire time, why isn't someone calling the cops? But then I remember a callback to earlier in the film where he always has to go outside to talk on the phone because he can't hear.
Yeah, and they did. There was a quick scene where the pregnant wife, whose name I can't be bothered to remember, Claire, thank you, is in the corner of the bathroom, furiously messing with her smartphone that's not working. So they constantly reminding you that it's just a rule that we gotta go with, that technology will not work because our movie fails.
So we have so the two women are now locked in the bathroom, Hannah and Claire, and Ryan's out there with his baseball bat trying to be a hero. And I'm not sure which happens first, but Hannah escapes through the window.
Um, again, I'm trying to. I'm fast forwarding through the movie while we're talking to try to remind myself of what happened in a movie I saw twice. Which, again, I don't know whether we all need to stop looking at social media too much, or drinking less. I'm having trouble remembering this stuff, which means that it didn't make an impact because I don't have that doesn't happen with movies that I saw decades ago.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Made an impact,
Of course, this is no, American Werewolf in London either. So
no.
So I think, so I'm going to say that during that time, Hannah is escaping out the window. Ryan is now in the living room, and from out of nowhere, the landlord shows up and slaps. And I say slap. Wouldn't that be funny if the landlord just came out and just slapped Ryan?
just slapped him upside his head. The guy is weaker than Glass Joe from Mike Tyson's Punch Out. He's just that easy to take down.
But no, he comes out and hits Ryan over the head with a hammer, and Ryan goes down, and the landlord turns around and it looks like he's about to head back towards the bathroom, and during this entire time, Hannah has
I'd like to note real quick, I don't mean to interrupt, but when Jason says a hammer, it's like a little hammer that you would nail in pictures with when you don't want to mess up the drywall.
Yeah.
Like, this dude is easy to knock out.
Yeah, he went down like a I'm thinking like one of those, I guess, Wild West buffaloes during the 19th century.
I know,
I don't know.
He was felled by Bart Simpson's Aaron spitting out of a buckshot.
So so this entire time he gets hit in the head. He turns around. The landlord turns around and says, "Oh, I'm going to finish Ryan off." So Ryan gets bludgeoned to death with his hammer. We don't really see that happen. We just see his arm rising and falling. We don't see any gore. There's no real gore in this per se. Hannah, meanwhile, has already escaped, and we assume that she's gone to get help. But then it flashes to outside, and she's still in the fucking backyard trying to get on the phone.
Running around like a fucking like a prairie dog that's about to get scooped up by an eagle. Like she's just zero. Granted, she's a vegan that's been eating hamburgers and pooping blood for weeks, so you can't blame her for being a little woozy.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So she's wandering around in a vegan daze out in the backyard. And there's tall fences. She can't jump over the fences. But, by this time, she could have hauled ass out into the street. Of course, we don't know where exactly this property is. Is it in a residential neighborhood? Is it
somewhere in Canada? I'm convinced.
No, this is in L.A. I swear I saw.
It really is. I'm amazed at that.
I saw. I think some of the backdrop or whatever from what they were doing. It's downtown. Yeah, it's downtown L.A. So, but. It's not in downtown, but anyways, I'm getting off track. So Ryan's dead. Thank fucking God.
Thank Christ.
Yeah, it's like we're just waiting for these people to die, and Hannah is out still wandering around the fucking bushes, like why? And of course, she tries to escape. Somehow, this lumbering old man with a gait where looks like he could barely, get on a treadmill and walk it, walk it too. And somehow catches up to her and drowns her in the pool.
Yeah, that's where we like that kidney-shaped pool. He's going to be forever skimming that. It's his job. He's the landlord. He's going to be skimming like blonde girl poo out of it.
Right.
It's probably empty. In fairness, because we well established the vegan poo.
That is a horse, and it's dead. But so somehow he drowns her in the pool. So that's 2 down. Our body count is at 2. And,
oh God! Two perfectly killable friends that they could have murdered off at any given point in the movie.
Yeah, nope. I agree. Yeah, we could have easily brought Paul and Aubrey back in, but no.
No, I wanted to. I couldn't wait for them to die.
And there was still some extra time left on this movie. If you even cut the credits out, there is still like an hour and 18 minutes, something like that, or maybe like an hour and 20 something with the credits cut out. So you could easily killed off Paul and Aubrey.
I mean, they were begging to be killed. They would have the actors wouldn't have protested. Of course they'll be killed. I'm in a horror movie.
So So Hannah is dead now, and we go back into the house, and Claire is still in the bathroom for some. She's pregnant. I get it. The pregnant women just like to stay in one place. Is that
I guess they don't care about themselves. They don't care about the life inside them,
right?
Which is, as we all know, is real typical of the pregnant ladies.
Right. And so
I'm being ironic, by the way, before anybody hates my guts.
Yeah. This is all tongue in cheek, guys.
I'm criticizing it like any mother would have scratched out Gerald's eyes in the first 5 seconds. She wouldn't have allowed her unborn kid to be anywhere near that creep. She would have smelled infidelity all over her husband. Yeah. It's one of the many frustrations.
Right. That's why I even put in my notes. Claire is the clueless wife.
Yeah.
So Gerald, the landlord, eventually breaks down the bathroom door, drags Claire out, and that's fade to black. Cut to black.
Yeah.
So
then we transition to the police entering the house and questioning the landlord. And to their credit, we finally get a black person in this thing.
Yeah.
He's a bit part. I can't say that he had many lines other than, can we check downstairs, or what's that over there?
And let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, like, this is creepy. It smells like white death in here.
And I thought these cops were the dumbest cops in the world because, points out the guy points out the owner's closet, and the cops are like, okay, well, let's take a look down there. And they go down there. Oh, it smells like shit. It smells like something died down here. Oh, well, let's get
dogs.
Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here. I was like, no, there's like plastic. Go look.
I mean, we've got very recent contemporary reasons why, if the house stinks and there's a basement, you go check it out. Like, how many serial killer shows do you need to see before you know that this guy fits the archetype?
Right. How many news stories have we seen of people locking up their children or whatever in their basements and not letting them see the light of day? And
I mean, it's like, it's okay. He's objectively a creepy dude,
right?
And there's creepy dude shit all over this house. It's got the stank of creepy dude shit. We need to get home, man. I mean, like, my wife's making gumbo tonight. What are you doing, man? It's just another reason to hate cops.
I was just amazed that they went in there and smelled death, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And I think that's by that point I was assuming he had killed Claire, and that's where her body was, or something was in there. And that,
yeah, it's bad, whatever it is.
Right, and the cop literally just shoots his flashlight around and then literally says, let's get the fuck out of here. Like,
yeah, and the big reveal, and I really don't care if this ruins it for anybody. The big reveal, he marches upstairs with his patented like jailer food, hamburgers. It's like, oh, you guy, you're a creature of habit. And he walks downstairs with his bag of hamburgers. So it's like, okay, we immediately know that he's got a captive down there, and it turns out to be the wife, right?
No, I don't think we see Claire. We see him. Yeah, he's got his bags of hamburger, but I don't think we actually.
Well, we hear her, and the one distinctive thing about her is her voice. We hear her. That's definitely her. You don't see her. He tosses the bag of hamburgers into the darkness, and she's very hostile. And
and that's before the cops show up. Right?
No, it was after.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Totally after, yeah.
Right.
And the only reason I know is because I'm watching this. I'm going to cop to the Cliff Notes version of this.
Yeah, I'm going to take your word for it. And and then there's, he's cleaning out another shit bucket outside.
Never relinquish us of that.
Right.
I hate scat humor, and I'm confronted by it daily. But anyway.
Yeah, so he's obviously the property manager of an apartment complex, and because a woman on a balcony says, "Hey, Gerald, my toilet's backed up. Can you come in and fix it?" And he's like, "Tomorrow." She's like, and she just takes off cheerily, "Okay," and leaves. Meanwhile, he's cleaning out a shit bucket.
You will wade knee deep in shit, which was another reason that I was thinking, like, this has got to be in Canada. Like, there's no one would tolerate that. Like, okay, like, I'd be like, hey, man, I will call 17 different associations on your weird lumbering.
Yeah. Just- I thought so. That's not even the ultimate reveal. The ultimate
The
reveal
ultimate
is
reveal, which I gotta admit, kind of won me back a little bit, was that like you tell him.
well, the ultimate reveal. He gets back into his white van, presumably to go off and do other creepy
Free
shit.
candy van, as we call it.
What is that?
His free candy van.
Oh, his free
as we
candy
call
van, exactly. And he has I think he has hamburgers with him, and he turns to his right, and there's a baby in a car seat next to him.
it. So not only is he a horrible serial killer and chronic masturbator, but he knows he's a midwife too. He's
Yeah.
really good at it.
He birthed the baby somehow. Well, I mean, he didn't birth the baby, but obviously this kid is older, so it's not a newborn. So I'm kind of wondering, the time span that has elapsed isn't really known at this point. But I think at this point we can assume that Claire is dead. Or
No, she was okay. Claire is alive.
Okay.
He tosses her hamburgers, and you hear her voice where she's demanding probably to see her baby or to be let go.
Yeah.
You know how women are; they're constantly complaining about being, like cut
Fed.
off their newborn children, fed real food, and let to leave a basement. As horror movies present us with. But no, she's alive.
Okay,
she's alive. She had the kid, and this Gollum-esque Till Lindeman's creepy brother motherfucker is raising this child,
right,
and then ends in an up note in a way. Like even the score tells us this is funny.
And he tells the kid he's like, be quiet, and then he smiles. It's the first time we see this creep smile, and I'm like, oh god, I long for the days when your mouth was agape and just looking at porn.
Your own personal porn. You really know you're an auteur when your porn is only yours. That's a level of artistic engagement that I'll never be available to.
Exactly. So after that, it's cut to black pretty much in the credits.
Yeah.
Scene.
And then we got a nice round font, so it's a typographer. It's it's very pleasing on the eyes. It's nice and round in the middle and the ends, and I think the soundtrack. The creepy part to me is I distinctly remember, whether there's a false memory or not, of the soundtrack kind of taking a happy upbeat towards the end.
Yeah.
Like, is this funny? Everybody laugh. Like, this is okay.
It was really kind of a whimsical, odd. It was supposed to. I think it might have been made to exhibit some kind of weird emotion in you, like, oh, I'm glad the child's safe, but he's with this guy, and then the guy is smiling, and it's just an odd ending.
Yeah, and I mean, the only reason it was effective is because Inside exists, not to bring Inside up again. Like, if you're going to do that, like, it was the same ending as Inside, but they just didn't have half of the conviction to make everybody hate it and have nightmares for the rest of the life.
Let's not forget.
I'm not recommending Inside.
Well, I think the only thing I would recommend seeing Inside for is the gore. I mean, there was a lot of it. From what I remember, there's a lot of intense scenes.
That I mean, it violated your sensibilities.
Yeah,
that's kind of what Inside did well. Same thing that Imprint did well and Audition did well, and other. A Serbian film, I'm sure, if I had the balls to see it.
Yeah. That's the end of the film. So I guess would you recommend this film to anyone, like just for like a once view, or?
Depends on who you are. Like, if you like horror movies, and I would have to kind of vet it with you. It'd be like, what other horror movies do you like? And they'd be like, okay, I like this, and this. I'd say, all right, go see it. I don't know that I can I can't recommend it with a good conscience, because I myself didn't care for it too much in spots. I mean, I liked it overall. I liked it more than I didn't like it, but then I'm frustrated with it at the same time.
Yeah, I think you reflected my feelings on it pretty much exactly. I can't give it a full recommend. If you want to watch it and just want to see what we're bitching about, please go ahead and give it a view. But yeah, I would say not recommend.
Yeah, no, there's better ways you can spend your time. Just because we did this doesn't mean that you should go through it. There's shitty video games and all kinds of shitty media out there. I'm not, and again, it's. I think that their intention was to make a good movie, and I'd love to see what the writer and director does next. And a lot of talented people did a good job on it. It's a movie is rarely the sum of its parts, and a horror movie really kind of reflects that.
Yeah, and I know it felt like we're kind of disparaging the actors and everything, but you work with what you got, and it was very competently done. I was very glad to see a film that wasn't shot on video or with shitty hackney cuts or edits that made no sense. It was an average story. It was an average movie. Yeah.
I'd say check it out to kind of dig into what you do like about horror movies. And it's, I've been watching a lot of film analysis lately, and when you try to elicit the same emotional reaction throughout the running time of your feature, it feels boring. And unfortunately, this one did that. And it seems kind of weird to say this in a film that seems so aberrant and upsetting on its face, but you need to take some chances even within that context. And that's kind of how I feel about this one. I didn't mean to turn this into a film review. It sounds fucking pretentious, but
no, it's good to hear that kind of the kind of note taking and thoughts and opinions on it. I think it's insightful myself, so even if no one else does.
So I enjoyed this. I hope other people did. Our next one up is 13 Demons, which I'm really looking forward to doing that one because I don't know, because we'll find out.
No, I did see the running time for 13 Demons, and it is only an hour 18, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. I haven't watched the preview yet, but just from what I've seen so far.
I'll just say that it's you got to be careful about those evil Dungeons and Dragons board games. You'll end up murdering a whole bunch of folks. So.
Oh, I guess I should go back real quick
Sure.
and ask, what would you have done differently with this film, the 13 cameras?
Oh, the main thing right off the top would be that it needs brown people in it.
Okay.
And it really does.
More diversity, yeah.
It needs more diversity. I live, you live on the West Coast, I live on the East Coast, and there are a wide swath of people. You got friends from all different kinds of backgrounds, and that makes an immediately more compelling story. And I think that every filmmaker needs to do that. I know that there's kind of a backlash in a way to all the social justice warrior and the political correctness, but it makes for better media. It really does,
Absolutely.
That was one of the first things that I thought about it. I would never claim that it's racist in any way, because it's not.
No.
But it's just like, you need to have a bigger background in there. And I would have pay a lot of attention to the second and third acts of your movie, because if it starts to feel fucking boring, the worst thing that a horror movie can do is be boring.
Right.
Even for a minute.
Yeah, I absolutely agree 100% with what you said. Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for me, though, was Gerald the landlord. That there was so much there. His character, the way he looked, he's basically the best character in the whole movie. Unfortunately, he was one-dimensional at best. And
he was one-dimensional, and even in the context of the movie, he was the best thing that they had. I've seen Godzilla movies where Godzilla is on screen more than Gerald is, and he was the thing that brought you through it. He's the pinhead of the movie. He's the Freddy Krueger of the movie, and they didn't have him on screen nearly enough.
Right, and I just felt we should have seen him on screen more. We should have delved more into who Gerald was. Maybe see, I don't know. It didn't even have to be a long storyline. Maybe just a little snippet of his everyday life. Maybe him at the grocery store, just to see what he does.
Maybe not Myris and backstory, but give us enough to tell us why he is upset so much by the the sexual proclivities of the main character. Like, why does this upset you so much? Your infidelity. Like, maybe that ruined his family life, just some kind of thing to bring us into it and make us feel conflicted. Like they present something that should make you feel very morally ambiguous, and they just kind of left it sit there. They played with the very theme of voyeurism and didn't follow it through. It had a lot of potential that they didn't live up to.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's about it from my end.
Yeah, me too, man. This was fun. I look forward to more of them.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch 13 Demons. I may do it tonight. It looks very interesting, and we will get together soon. And
Absolutely.
All right, everyone, thank you for tuning in to Cinematic Suffering. I'm Jason.
I'm Clay.
And we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Take care, y'all.